10%. That's the number that decides whether you stay broke or you get ahead in 2026, and most people ignore it. But I'm going to prove it to you. Would you rather buy something if it was 10% off? Would you turn down a 10% raise? Of course not. So why aren't you using 10% to fix your money? Today, I'm going to show you the 10% rule. It's the simplest way to lower your expenses, increase your income, and finally breathe again in 2026. And at the end, I'm going to give you 2 money laws that will change your finances forever. Listen, everybody wants to earn more, owe less, and live better. But most people don't want to put in the effort that it's going to take to get there. They want to miracle themselves into prosperity. Here's the truth. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you work for. Action comes first. Action is going to build confidence, and confidence builds results. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, like life is happening to you instead of for you, follow along. And let's start with the part that everyone hates, but everyone can fix, and that's your expenses. Man, inflation has been brutal. We all complain about it, but then we carry on. But what if you could reverse it just a little bit? What if you could create your own self-made deflation? And that's what cutting your expenses by 10% does. Is it possible? Oh yeah. And once we do that, we'll move on to making an extra 10%. But first, let's put some money back into your account by tightening up your household expenses. Some of these will apply to you and some won't. But take notes, and if you have other ideas, drop them in the comments. Lately, credit card interest is just obscene. But here's the good news. You can fight back. Now, the ideal move is to not use your credit cards at all or to pay them off at the end of every month. But let's be real. That's not where a lot of people are right now. So if you're carrying a balance, here's something most people never try. Just call your credit card company. Tell them that you're struggling and ask if there's anything they can do to help. Specifically, ask for a lower interest rate. Does this actually work? For me, it did. I got my rate dropped from 24 to 10% for 6 months. That's more than a 10% win, and odds are you can get them to lower your rate by a lot more than 10%. And if credit cards weren't bad enough, insurance costs are just outrageous, and they only seem to keep going up. Now the frustrating part is, we can't afford not to have it. But here's what most people don't realize. Insurance agents typically work on commission, so it benefits them to sell you those higher policies, not necessarily the right ones. So this is where you have to play offense. Call your insurance company. Tell them you're on a mission to cut expenses and that you will be shopping rates. Ask them to requote your policy. Ask about bundling opportunities and maybe what discounts you qualify for. Now, I'm not telling you to cut your coverage, but a lot of people really are paying for things that they just don't actually need. I did this and was actually able to cut my insurance almost in half. And for most households, insurance is one of the easiest places to cut 10% or more. I've already made a couple of videos on cutting grocery expenses, so I'm not going to rehash everything here. But groceries are one of the easiest places to prove the 10% rule works. Most people overspend on groceries, not because food is expensive, although that is definitely a part of it, but it's because of their habits, shopping when you're hungry, not planning around sales, buying convenience instead of real food. When you fix those few things and you start planning meals, watching your prices, and using leftovers, most people can easily cut 10% or more from their grocery bill and still eat well. If you want a deeper dive, I've got a full video on saving money at the grocery store, and I'll link it below. The point here isn't perfection, it's proof. The rule works. Remember, you don't have to win in every category, you just need to win the average. Now obviously, some of your expenses are fixed. You're not going to be able to cut every bill by 10%, but that's okay, because the goal isn't to cut everything. The goal is to cut our overall expenses by at least that 10%. So let's use some real numbers. Let's say your monthly expenses are $2,000. Well, if you can cut it by 10%, that's an extra $200 a month right back in your pocket. And when you consider your internet, your cell phone, streaming services, utilities, and subscriptions you forgot you even had. When you look back at each expense individually, most people can easily cut their monthly costs without sacrificing their quality of life. And if you think that saving 10% on expenses feels powerful, just wait until you see what adding 10% to your income can do for you. Now, let's start applying that 10% rule to earning more. I want you to think small right now, not really big. Let's say you bring home $800 a week. 10% of that is $80 a week, $320 a month, and it's roughly $10 a day. Not life-changing by itself, but powerful when consistent. Now there are a million videos on side hustles right now. Some work, a lot of them don't. What matters most isn't the hustle, it's actually the mindset that gets you there. Now I'm going to throw out a few practical ideas, but the real goal here is changing on how you look at earning. Most people collect things, but they just don't call them collectibles. Clothes we keep just in case we can fit them later. Old electronics, books, favorite record albums, tools we haven't even touched in years. Now some of that stuff is actually worth money, and this is a 2-for-1 win. You actually declutter your house and you make cash. Now my go-to for selling is Facebook Marketplace. It's easy to use and it's free. Or you can do a yard sale. The goal isn't to sell everything. If you like it, keep it. The goal is actually to declutter about 10% of what you don't need and turn it into cash. It's not the long-term answer, but that money can pay off debt, build savings, or finance that side hustle. So selling stuff is step one. What happens when you want something repeatable? I've got an upcoming video on turning your hobbies into real money, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. But here's a mindset shift. If you're spending money on a hobby, chances are other people are too. That smells like opportunity. So get creative. Look in Facebook groups. See what's missing in your space. What are people asking about? Are they looking for storage solutions, maintenance tips, preservation, local meetups, maybe a subscriber newsletter? I don't know, but just think about how your hobby can start making you money instead of just costing you money. My wife, she's making over $1,000 a month repairing and selling old dolls, something she really enjoys doing. And just turning your hobby into side hustle could be the 10% income boost for a lot of people right there. I read about a guy who loves fish tanks, and it was just his passion. Well, a friend of his paid him to set one up, and that sparked an idea. He started offering aquariums to restaurants, banks, and doctors' offices. He'd do the setup, the cleaning, the water testing, all of it on a weekly plan. Now he's hired help and is doing very well. But the point isn't fishing tanks or dolls. It's recognizing that your interests can become income streams. If you don't think you have a hobby worth monetizing, that's okay. There are other paths that will work just as well. Just look around you. Man, there is money everywhere. The trick is looking for things that people can't do, or more often, things they just don't want to do. I'm sure you've heard about the guy who turned picking up dog poop into a multi-million-dollar business through franchising. And honestly, is he any smarter than you or I, or did he just have the right mindset? I ran into a guy the other day who started a business cleaning trash cans. He had a trailer, a power washer, and a marketing plan. Boom. He's making money, and he's his own boss. He's loving it. Most people don't have the time or the desire to clean their gutters, rake yards, or organize garages. Maybe you're great at organizing, or content creation, or cooking. The point is this. You already have the skills and the knowledge someone else is willing to pay for. A lot of good paying work can be done with very inexpensive startups. So this is the best application of the 10% rule. Use 10% of your free time to increase your ability to earn. Learn or improve a skill. Turn something you already know into how to make some income. Now everything we've talked about leads to 2 simple rules. You break them, you stay stuck. Follow them, and your money is going to change forever. So earlier, I promised you 2 simple money laws that can change your life if you follow them. And pay attention, just because they're simple in concept doesn't mean they're not powerful. Law number 1, keep 10% of everything you earn for your future self. Fight for it, insist on it. Number 2, live on less than you earn, and this should be your mantra. Now, I thought about starting this video with those 2 simple rules, but I know what some of you would have said. Man, I can't save, I'm paycheck to paycheck, and I can't possibly live on less than I make. But now you see the truth, and once you change your mindset and make that first move, this becomes possible, and honestly, easier than you think. If you'd like some help keeping track of your money, I've linked my free Forge Your Life budget and debt tracker and my daily spending log below. They're free because I sincerely want you to fix your money. And honestly, some of you are going to do even better than me, and I'd love to hear about it. So if this video helped you, consider joining our growing community. We have a simple mission here: earn more, owe less, and live better. Most people won't do this, not because it's hard, but because they never start. But you're here. You're watching. That means you're already ahead. Now finish the job. And friends, let's forge your life.